All right, thanks for joining us on this PCC Extra for May 8th, 2019. This is Gerald Glassford coming back right at you here, along with my good friend. He is the myth, the man, the legend. You notice how I shaked things up there, right there for you. From Humanica Media, it is my good friend, Mr. Josh Peterson. Appreciate you hanging out with me on a beautiful Wednesday morning, my friend.
Of course, man. Yeah, you threw me off right there by mixing the order of things.
I know. I usually man, the myth, the legend, but shake things up a
I
little bit.
am no longer grounded in reality here. I'm just waiting for the next panic attack to happen.
Watch out, watch out. Well, I wanted to cover a couple things that are probably just too important right now to talk about. Plus, also as well, want to go ahead and touch on some things that happened last week as well. But the first thing that we want to go ahead and talk about that probably we wouldn't be able to get to on our Friday show, because we got some great guests coming up there that are taking the bulk up of our awesome show coming up on Friday. So we wanted to talk real quick about Spider-Man Far From Home. The latest trailer came out, my friend. What are your thoughts? The spoiler ban has been lifted, so they got to go ahead and share their thoughts on what's going on, especially with everything that went on with Avengers Endgame. There's a lot of depression with Spider-Man because of what happened. He lost his beloved Iron Man, and you also see the rise of Mysterio, his excuse as far as why is he there, something to do with, I guess, the new multiverse that's being planned. Either this is all a fake and Mysterio's added again with some lies like his comic book counterpart, or this could be something that opens up a Pandora's box into an entirely different universe, right? Especially when it comes to what's going on with all the different things going on with Sony and their Spider-Verse and all their great plans. So what is it, my friend? Do you think it's a lie, or do you think it's something that could actually be existing within the realm of the new possible Spider-Man multiverse?
I I don't know. It's interesting to me because I can't tell if they're if they do the multiverse, that would mean that they would have to follow along the Secret Wars storyline, right? Where they have all these different or battle universe, all these different versions of these characters battling against each other. And would the multiverse be tied to the stones, right? How what's her name was talking to the Hulk about Tilda Swinton's character talking to the Hulk about how when you do something you create these other timelines
The
going through
Ancient One.
the ancient one. Yeah. But yeah, it's very interesting because I don't maybe that's going to be what ties them into the Disney Plus thing, but if you think about it though, this is where Warner Brothers gets convoluted, right? Where the DC universe gets convoluted because according to them, their movies and their shows exist together, but it's in a multiverse, right? So they're all inhabit their own different universes, but they're still tied together through the multiverse thing. And that's not it's a little confusing, but it also feels like a cop out. Like, you think Marvel's getting to the point where they would like to tell standalone stories instead of have everything connected, and you think that's maybe why they threw that out there? Or it could be like you said, like Mysterio doesn't want he's playing a trick, right? But it's also weird to me that they would have him get that involved with Peter Parker's life before having him turn into a bad guy. So I'm really not sure. Where do you stand on this?
I'm not sure if I'm digging it either which way, my friend. So I mean, if Mysterio stays a friend, then he's not really true to his character. And if he is lying and if he is playing a trick, then it leads up to, like I said, just opening up this entire multiverse type concept, which I'm not exactly entirely cool with. And the reason why is, if for the general audience that's out there, and even for hardcore fans like us, or fans that are of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if it becomes a little bit hard to follow now, just imagine when you're adding a multiverse and the different layers and the complexities that come with it. Just think how hard it will be to follow then, because you're talking about a lot of different things you have to go ahead and set up, a lot of different things you have to go ahead and implement in order to go ahead and stay anywhere near some type of cohesiveness. So I don't know, man. It just, alternate timelines and all the stuff that they go ahead and set up in Avengers Endgame, it now lends itself to a lot of different things that can happen, but it also sets itself up for a lot of different things that could get people confused and could turn a lot of people off as well.
Well, I like the idea if they followed this route instead of having a multiverse, like maybe there was something. You know how did you ever watch Smallville?
Only a little bit.
Okay, so in Smallville, the whole like first 3 or 4 seasons revolves around how the kryptonite, the pieces of the planet, radiated planet fell, right? And it gave all these people powers, and Clark's going around finding them. Some are good, some are bad. But I wouldn't mind that concept so much. Like maybe when the Infinity Gauntlet went off, like it tore holes in the fabric of time, and all of a sudden these people all had powers that they didn't have before, so they're learning to deal with this stuff. Like that would be easier for me to follow. But I don't like the idea of having multiple universes going against each other, because that's the issue with with Marvel Comics, no pun intended, that there's so many worlds going against each other, right? We had the battle planets, we had the Ultimate Universe, we had the what's the mainline universe, we have the one that takes place in the 60s. Like there's so many things happening, and it's hard to follow. So if Marvel is trying to keep audiences going to these movies year after year, event after event, then creating another world is probably not in their best interest, because people, if it's that acronym that they taught me in film school, like it's KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And if they did that, they would be breaking that rule, and I would be curious to see how audiences reacted to it.
Now, that almost takes away from the entire question that you and I should be asking is, did you enjoy the trailer and does it make you want to see the movie? I'm going to tell you first that I still think I'm not as excited for it as I was Spider-Man Homecoming, but it's still good enough to me to say, you know what? I'm interested in going and seeing it. I obviously have to see it because of how it ties into Avengers Endgame. And plus, Nick Fury, Maria Hill, familiar faces that are going to be a part of it. Happy Hogan seems like he's going to have a lot of fun in being a good part of it, because he wasn't very much a part of Avengers Endgame, even though the posters and some of the lead in kind of led you to think that he might be a little bit stronger part of Avengers Endgame. But yeah, it's for me it's just kind of okay, I'll see it, but I'm not sure you're going to get the type of success ratio that you once had when all the good vibes and all the good happenings were created with what happened when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, because there was a lot of goodwill and a lot of great interest in this reimagining of a new Spider-Man that came out at that point in time.
Well, exactly. That's it. That's what it had on its side, was the fact that it was a reimagining. Everyone's like, is he going to be better than Andrew Garfield? Is he going to be better than Tobey Maguire? Where is he going to pick up? How is this going to, are they going to do another origin story? Are they going to completely pass over that? Because we've seen that enough times. Like there was enough hype behind him to kind of carry him on to success. Whereas, and then we kind of got to know him more over the course of what, 4 movies? Yeah. So, and Far From Home, it looks interesting. They did a clever job of marketing it by saying this is the end of the Infinity Gauntlet saga, is officially happens with Spider-Man Far From Home. And just the fact that we all, and all the rumors popping up on the internet too, saying that like all of Peter's friends and stuff moved on, or clearly the people in the trailer didn't, or they got snapped, so they're all still in high school. But it's just gonna be interesting to see where they pick up the pieces of life after that, and how Happy's handling, life without Tony Stark, and which is where everybody's at this moment in time. And I'm more like, I spent a lot of time Googling yesterday, is Mysterio going to be a bad guy in this? Because I kind of like the idea of him being a good guy and then eventually turning, going mad, maybe not in this film, but another one. I just like to see Pete. I feel like, I don't know, Peter almost needs a mentor, and maybe that's where Samuel L. Jackson comes in, because that's where like in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, where Spider-Man really just makes a mess of everything. So first he has Tony Stark teach him how to be a superhero, because Nick Fury came in and said, "We can't have you just running around, breaking everything."
I like I said, I like the fact that Nick Fury is involved. Obviously, he didn't get much to do in Avengers Endgame as well. So it's interesting how these characters like Happy Hogan, Maria Hill, Nick Fury now get a little bit more love in this version. That's something of a smaller scale compared to what we've seen in Avengers Endgame. And yes, it is interesting to see what will happen because this will officially be the end of the Infinity Gauntlet saga, or the Infinity Saga as they call it from the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. And it will, be something that, okay, even though a lot of people feel that Avengers Endgame is the Endgame, that this will actually put the final touch onto it as far as its entire, what by then 23 movie saga when it comes to the Infinity Gauntlet, when it comes to the Infinity Saga for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's something we'll have to be very interested in keeping track on. I personally want to see Mysterio be that type of mentor. That would be awesome. You know what? Actually, you always harken back to the Sam Raimi films, and the best part about the Sam Raimi films to me was the relationship between Spider-Man and Doc Ock, and that mentorship that was there before he went mad. So that could be something that, if it's done in a similar fashion, if there's a parallel between those two, then yes, something really could be done that's very well, very cohesive, and very easy to follow, and just very interesting as well. And yeah, like you said, just right there, just Dr. Connor's an amazing Spider-Man. I know that's something that you very appreciate as well, but I do like that the Doc Ock, as far as that relationship that was there. And I think that's what makes that movie so special, is the relationship that those two had in that movie. As far as, was that Spider-Man 2?
No, Doc Ock was Spider-Man 2. Dr. Connors was Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, as far as especially Spider-Man 2. I mean, you always talk about Spider-Man 2 being your favorite, and a lot of people consider it one of the best comic book movies that's out there. And I think part of it is because the relationship that Doc Ock had with Spider-Man in that film. And hopefully we'll see something with Mysterio transcend similar to that. And yes, it will probably lead to Mysterio being a bad guy at some point in time. But let's hope it materializes over the course of a period of a little while. But then again, we just saw that with Michael Keaton's Vulture and him taking place a little bit, where there's some affection, even though there's this love-hate relationship going on between Spider-Man and the Vultures. They might not be able to. Looks like they might be able to. It looks like they're going to be doing something maybe a little bit different when it comes to Mysterio, and going back to his comic book roots, and just tricking Nick Fury, tricking Maria Hill and Shield, and tricking Peter Parker Spider-Man at some point in time down the road. Maybe it's within the same film, or maybe it's in another movie coming up. So we'll have to wait and see. Or will it lead into a bigger Sinister Six for because
Yeah,
they've also obviously alluded to that as well.
yeah, that'd be really cool. But at the same time, not at the same time, but like think about this, like it. Jake Gyllenhaal, what kind of contract would he sign? Do you think he'd sign on for more than one movie? And also, which I hope that he would, because he looks really cool in the role of Mysterio. But and also, is it, if they spend more than half the movie making Peter and Mysterio like buddies, is there going to be enough time to really develop that downfall and descent into madness without losing uh big chunks of time in the film and still making it feel very impactful?
We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it is coming just around the bend here in July. Cannot wait to see it. It is Spider-Man Far From Home. Whether or not it clicks on all cylinders like it did previously as Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm not sure it's going to. If there is a multiverse layer that's added, or even I guess approached by Marvel, that sets up for future movies in the that possibly could either help and enhance the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or it could make it a whole lot more convoluted, which will drive away a small or even a larger portion of the audience that follows it. Because if it comes to confusing, you know what? Then we have the DC universe right there for you. What are your thoughts out there on Spider-Man Far From Home? Did you like the trailer that's filled with spoilers out there that just came out this week? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, before we head on out, I want to cover a couple of issues, and that includes The Legend of Zelda. One of our associates that helps us out with our Facebook pages on Game Source and Pop Culture Cosmos. I don't know. It was an accident. He just, I guess he just didn't check the date, but I don't even know how he brought that up in the first place. Maybe he was, searching for it or whatnot. But he happened to appear on a 2015 story. Didn't see the date for the Legend of Zelda Netflix series and shared that as a current story. And my goodness, did it get everybody's dander up. Everybody was excited. Everybody was wanting to go ahead and actually look into it. Everybody was hoping for it. Then all of a sudden, someone, they realized, you know what, it was from a story from 2015 and that never materialized. Yes, during 2018, there were rumors that they were going to go ahead and start negotiations with the showrunner from Castlevania, but eventually that turned out to be a Devil May Cry series instead, which we reported on at the time. So nothing ever materialized. But when you look at the comments from 2018, when that happened, there were so many people much more interested in a Legend of Zelda series. I got to ask you, my friend, it's got to be approached at some point in time by Nintendo. And I know they're a little bit gun shy after what happened with Super Mario Brothers in the movies in the 90s, because it's universally considered one of the worst movies of that decade. But at some point in time, if it's done right, a series like what Hulu's doing now with, what Showtime's doing now with Halo, they've got to approach it, a Netflix, a Hulu, or some platform where they can develop it over the course of time. I think it's something that they really should look into, because there is a lot of interest in it, as what was evidenced by the accidental story, which, again, we apologize for even publishing in the first place, but, it's brought this desire for the Legend of Zelda series out once again.
Yeah, it's weird to me too that people would have related, because if you read the article, it says it's going to be a family friendly version of Zelda, and it's weird that people would even think to consider that, Adi Shankar and family friendly could be used in the same sentence. Because if you watch Castlevania, it's anything but family friendly. Like it's full of gore and nudity and stuff like that. I mean, it's still cool, but it's not. I don't see him being tame enough to make something like that. And as for the series itself, I would love to see a series, but I would love to see it in the same vein as like a Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia. Like it can't exist and be a kids show, because that's not, Zelda is full of action and adventure, but it can't be a kids show. Like it shouldn't be a kids show, because that is not, it's just, especially since a lot of kids don't get into Zelda now until they're 8 or 9, right? And at that point, they're not interested in kids shows. So it should be something that crosses generations, right? Makes it so kids and adults want to watch it. I just don't think making it a kids show would be a great idea.
I agree with you. It should be something that is kind of epic in scale, like you said, in the realm of the Lord of the Rings, or even what's coming up that we're going to see from The Witcher. Although that probably will be a little bit more hardcore. That'll be a little bit more, like you said, violent than what probably Nintendo would be going for. Something a little bit more larger scale and a little bit more commercial, I think, is what Nintendo would be asking for. But I do not think it should be a film as a major motion picture. I do see it better. I do see it more adaptable as a series over maybe what, a 6, 8, 10 episode arc. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what, because each of the Zelda games takes place on a different timeline. So I guess it just depend on what timeline they want to adapt, what world they want to go with, what story they want to go with. Because there's a lot of meat to those stories, and if they could probably go a good 12 episodes if they wanted to.
Absolutely. And again, we apologize for even putting it out there in the first place. It was our error. Like I said, the individual that posted it didn't actually check the date and check the validity on it, which goes against what we try to do here at Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. Unfortunately, like we said, it was something that was put out there by mistake, and in the thousands and thousands and thousands of stuff we post out there, it has happened a couple times before. That's why we don't do any more gifs or any more JPEGs or any more types of that type of deal, because that's just been I've had to let people go before for that type of stuff before. And just anything type of political that they accidentally put on there. Just had those have been issues that have given me a headache before, as far as people putting out there that I've had to get let people go for. So you know what? We apologize again for putting it out there, but it has created a whole lot of conversation in and of itself. There's a need for it. It's been our highest trafficked uh, item that we've actually posted, whether it's accidental or not, what have you. It's been our highest traffic item that we have posted this week by far on both the Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source pages. So we had to we even though we apologize for putting it out there, putting it out there actually has created a conversation large enough that we needed to talk about it right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. What are your thoughts out there on hopefully someday having a Legend of Zelda series come to? Do you want it to come Legend of Zelda series? Do you want it to come to a format like Hulu or Netflix or even Disney Plus, that type of deal? Or would you like to see it on a larger scale, such as a major motion picture coming to maybe thousands and thousands of movie screens at some point in time down the road? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. All right, my friend, before we head on out, we got to pay our respects to Peter Mayhew. He unfortunately passed away, I believe, at the age of 74 last week. He is obviously most famous as playing the role of Chewbacca for many, many iterations of the Star Wars, I guess, franchise, the Star Wars phenomenon. He was so much a part of it in the beginning, and unfortunately, his untimely passing has created a great sadness in the force that's out there among Star Wars fans. Your thoughts on Peter Mayhew's contributions to Star Wars before we head on out?
Okay, so I didn't really know much about the man because Star Wars was just something I watched as a kid. I never really dove into the actors too much, but seeing the reaction people have to him because was it Roger Moore died too on the same day? Was that a thing or is that
That was posted out there by some individuals, not by us. And the reason why is because I did not find many other outlets that had posted it. So I was very hesitant to post it. So
right?
I don't think he has passed. In
Okay,
fact, there is still no official listing if you go to Wikipedia and some other sites in regards to
yeah,
so I'm gonna say right now no, because if he were to pass away, it would be similar to what you saw with Peter Mayhew, where CNN, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, all the major outlets would report Roger Moore's passing, in similar to the way that they reported Peter Mayhew's passing. So I'm
right.
gonna probably say no.
Yeah, okay, no, that makes sense. But yeah, just seeing like the reaction of the fans, like he was a man in a mask the entire movie. He had a costume on, and he still was able to touch people's hearts the way that he did. Even like he looked like I mean, must have been a very solid dude too, because like you look at some of the behind the scenes photos of him with Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart right now. Princess Leia's name is Carrie Fisher. Yeah, you see some of those photos, like they spend a good chunk of time together, and it looks like he was a fun guy to hang out with. It's cool to know that somebody whose face was not on screen meant so many things to so many people.
Oh, and unfortunately, Roger Moore, I can't believe I forgot this. He passed away in 2017.
Oh, that's right. That's right. These people, man, it's all about that clickbait.
It is, and you know what? We're guilty of it in an accidental way as well with the Legend of Zelda thing. So what can I say? But Peter Mayhew unfortunately passed away last week at the age of 74. That is legitimate. That is from been reported by dozens and dozens of major outlets out there, and I know the Star Wars fanship out there that is just feeling it right now for him, and I know our friends at a galaxy far, far away, and Jay Bartlett, he hosted a special tribute show. So you want to check out that on the Nerdy Northerners Twitch channel. That just appreciates everything that Peter Mayhew contributed to the Star Wars universe, and he is a big part of that, and definitely should be remembered quite fondly for quite some time when it comes to his contributions as Chewbacca through all the great periods of time in the Star Wars universe. All right, my friend. Just wanted to go ahead and give people an update on our thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home, the Legend of Zelda type of scenario that we went through this week, and also remembering Chewbacca, aka Peter Mayhew. Any last thoughts on the way out, my friend? Because we got a great show coming up on this Friday.
No, I just finished the Fate of Atlantis DLC last night, so we can talk about that further down the line. But it was a pretty solid piece of gameplay. Like there's a lot to explore. So if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, I definitely recommend checking it out. A lot of very stressful decisions too. So if you were not a fan of the other night's Game of Thrones episode, then maybe you might want to get in the back seat on this one.
That's so funny. Piece of. I thought you should say piece of garbage, but anyways, it's you were setting it up to be like that. So
I was stuttering. I don't know what I was trying to say.
okay, fair enough, fair enough. But yes, there is a lot going on when it comes to Game of Thrones. A beheading, in fact, that has caused quite a stir as the battle and the intensity as we ramp up for the Battle of King's Landing is getting near, and the end of the episodes that are coming down the line is winding down as far as the season is concerned for Game of Thrones. Josh, I got a thing to ask you on the air, my friend. You want to cover these things live when it comes to the Game of Thrones? I mean, do you want to cover these things same day when you see it, man, so we can go ahead and start getting it out there next Monday, next couple Mondays, because there's only 2 episodes left.
Yeah, I would be down maybe the following day. It takes me a while to absorb what I watched when I watched that show, so I need to sleep on it, and then I could probably do something the following day.
Man, all
'Cause
right.
I don't we do our show, and then I don't get to watch it till like 11 o'clock, and then I don't really
Well,
want
why don't
to.
you watch it first, and then we can do our show right after?
Yeah, we could do that.
Good. Why don't you sleep on that
Okay,
then?
I'll
How
sleep
about
on
that?
that.
All right. All right. Fair enough, my friend. All right. Appreciate you coming on the show with me today to talk some Spider-Man Far From Home and a whole lot of other great stuff as well. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. We'll see you on Friday right here on the PCC Multiverse. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.